like you said, whether we love it or hate it, that's the reality where we're moving towards and that we're finding ourselves in right now, really.
Yeah, and again, outside of our professional settings, in this setting, we can state our opinions as loud and proud as we want to, and those are
Yep.
our opinions. Want to go?
Live from the streets of Washington, D.C., on the corner where sports and culture meets hip hop. Sharing stories of the DMV and spitting fire for the whole damn country. This is First and Told with Chad Ricardo and Darrell Bucknight.
What up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to First and Told. I'm Chad Ricardo. That's Darrell Bucknight. You may have forgotten us, or at least forgotten what we look like. D, it's been a while, bro.
It has been a little. It's been a little bit. You know, you look younger. You turned a year older, but you look younger. So I don't know how that's possible. But we're in December now. It's the first official day of winter. So yeah.
For me, D, it's a combination of the eye makeup that I'm wearing and the hoodies that I put on in order to stay with youth culture. You have on no Christmas colors whatsoever. You've got no Christmas spirit at all. I got on my red and green.
I have a this is a flannel. This is Christmas material. Is that good enough?
Okay,
Yeah.
because you're up there in New York and it's cold up there.
It's cold. Yeah, it's cold down there too. I mean, maybe not as cold as up here, but
Yeah,
still.
I was in Newark last weekend for the Invesco QQQ Classic presented by Michael B. Jordan. To name drop it, I like it in Newark. What do you think of that area? I know you're a big city type, but what do you think of that Newark area?
I've never been to Prudential Center, which is where you were. I've never
Shame
been
on you.
there.
Shame on you.
I know, shame on me. I haven't, to be honest, I haven't really explored New Jersey much. I haven't. I've never been to Prudential. I've been in that area taking Amtrak back home to DC, but I've never actually gotten off the train or gotten out of a car and walked around New Jersey. It gets a bad rap. Only time I've been in New Jersey is to go to your sorry Giant Stadium in
Well,
East Rutherford, but that's it.
Not surprisingly, on the eve of Christmas Eve, this is Darrell Balknight showing off his bourgeois tendencies. He lives in the big cities. Too good to head down there to Jersey. Before we get into the topics at hand, want to delve into our personal lives for just a moment. D, you are now engaged. You've got wedding date set. Tell the people about that. Why should we be excited?
Well, I mean, I'm excited because I'm marrying my best friend. I have a wedding coming up July 2nd, 2022. It's a fun, exciting time. It's coming up fast. You know, got engaged in April, got the wedding planning going on, and got to go get the tux soon. Somebody I know might or might not be involved in the wedding. I don't know his name or where he might be. He might be on this screen. Uh, you can talk about that if you want to reveal your role to the world. But yeah, that's exciting. That's what we're doing right now.
Now, and as Dee was alluding to there, I am very glad and very fortunate to be serving in the position as Darrell Balknight's right-hand man, aka his best man, for the wedding. And look, lucky for Mags and for everybody else that I am now a married man in my own regard. That means that your bachelor party will be very reserved. We'll just all meet up at a sports bar somewhere and break down stats and information.
Let's do it.
That's going to be your bachelor party.
Let's do it. That's I'm low key anyway, so I'm not mad at that.
No Atlanta or no Jamaica for
No Vegas.
us on this. No $1 bills for us except for leaving tips, bro.
Nah, let's go to Newark.
Let's go to Newark
Let's
to
go
the
to
Prudential.
Newark.
There we go. All right, let's go ahead and get into this show, bro. What do we got first?
Yeah, well, I mean, let's go ahead and start. You know, we're in the middle of December. We're a couple days away from Christmas, and high school football season just ended. We had huge teams and huge players make waves throughout the course of the fall, from Virginia to DC to Maryland, all over the country. But you know what we know best is right here in the DMV. So I just want to give it over to you. Let's talk about some of the standout players, some of the standout teams. You talked about Oscar Smith a lot. You talked about St. John's a lot and their prowess in the WCAC. I just want to hear it. What are your thoughts on the recent high school football season?
I think that right there, what you just now said, is the ideal place to start. Of course, coming here in this region, we do a ton of talk about the WCAC, and that's rightfully so. St. John's Cadets, they come off of an undefeated season, and I don't mind saying this because I think that we talked about it on prior episodes. St. John's, over the last few years, has been known as a team that has all of the talent, but just couldn't finish.
Right.
This year's team under Coach Ward, they finished not once or twice, but every single game, going undefeated, sweeping the WCAC, sweeping their out of conference, and getting it done. So shout out to Wyatt Hagan, a quarterback that I've had the opportunity to cover for years and years and years. Shout out Jamar Curtis. Shout out Rohan Davey. Shout out one of the best defenses that I've seen in a while, one of the best defensive backfields, David Ojigebe, a young man that we may speak about later, big-time defensive end. I could go for 5 minutes about this team. I know we got more to talk about, so I'll move on. St. John's, that's number one in the WCAC. Number two, Darrell, and I would be remiss, and so would you, if we did not give credit to them boys from Baltimore, that of course being St. Francis. They're going to end this season as number 4 in the country. I put up a post yesterday. We're recording this on Wednesday, I think today is. I put up a post on yesterday that said, we don't give this team enough credit, albeit because of the transfers, albeit because of the lack of a conference play, but we in the DMV need to acknowledge this squad for all that they are. And then coming back down, we talk about the state of Virginia. Oscar Smith, they knocked off a tough and gritty Madison team. I believe that Oscar Smith is arguably the best public school high school team in the nation. Write down what I said, in the country. Coach, excuse me. Coach Chris Scott has this squad rolling. They're on the potential of building a dynasty out there, so be on the lookout for him. In Maryland, it was Quince Orchard winning the 4A title over the Wise Pumas, unseating the Wise Pumas. And Coach Kelly, they could be doing it again sometime. 3A Stonebridge won 3A on the last play of the game for the second straight year. That's dramatic. And then that was 5A and VA and 3A in Maryland. I think that Northern, and I got nothing to say about Northern, but they won the title. Those are your title winners in 2021, D.
Those are the title winners. I do want to follow up with one quick question specifically about St. Francis, because they're one of the top teams in the country in basketball. They were obviously ranked number 4 in the country in football. Do you think they are often, for some reason, overlooked? Do you think because, people don't know they're the oldest African American Catholic high school in America, and that's often a fact that's overlooked. You think about Gonzaga, you think about Gonzaga, St. John's, that rivalry. You think about those Catholic schools, but you don't hear or think about St. Francis much. Do you think they should get more credit than they have? Especially finishing number 4 in the country, and they're often being overlooked.
Listen, I know that our producers are in our ear, and they're saying that we don't want to take up too much time on this, so I don't want to go too far. But I am going to say this. I spoke with, of course, everyone knows that the documentary was done on St. Francis, in which they talked about why they were kicked out of the MIAA, and this is, every story has multiple sides. So from St. Francis's side, it is a ton about, them being from the inner city, a ton about the fact that this squad is predominantly black in a Catholic school world here. I spoke with a coach before the season, and this is just the other side. I'm not saying which side is right. I spoke with a coach from the WCAC that said, look, Chad, it has nothing to do with any of that. What it has to do with is the fact that St. Francis plays by a different set of rules than the rest of us Catholic schools. Mm-hmm. They said St. Francis can reclassify kids in high school, which we can't do. And they said the other thing is that St. Francis, their entry standards are lower from the academic side than what ours are. So it's an unfair field. So we're not going to play them and get the bricks beat off of us, and then to the public have it look like it's an even field. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just reporting on what was said to me by a coach, D.
I got you. And I was curious as to what you would say and how you would formulate that answer. But nonetheless, St. Francis, in my opinion, is often overlooked and doesn't get the proper credit they deserve, like other big time schools in the DMV or around the country.
They don't get the credit, they don't get the love, and because a lot of those other big time schools, like if we want to compare them to the WCAC, sure, one way or the other, but a lot of those other big time schools, they have just as many, if not more, transfers than what St. Francis has, and I don't know what their academic standards are. What I do want to say, and I'm not as familiar with the basketball program, that's where you come in with all of these things, but with the football program, I do know that Coach Masai, Coach Justin, they do a great job building culture around these young men. They bring them together. They place them in a very good environment, not just physically, which it's a tough streets of Baltimore, but in terms of uplifting them as young men and raising their spiritual awareness and what it is to be a black teenager, a black young man. So I do want to give them credit for that before we ever move on.
Awesome. Credit to the coaches out there at St. Francis as a whole, for sure.
Yeah. Before we get over to hoops, D, I do want to talk about a couple of young men that are going to be on the precipice, that are going to be stars next year in DMV football, because it's that time. It's the recruiting time of the year. I think that this conversation has to begin at Quince Orchard. Again, they're your defending champs. They had a couple of studs out there. Young man by the name of Jalen Harvey. We saw him absolutely dominate that state championship game. He's just a sophomore right now. Write down the name Jalen Harvey. He will be a 5-star student athlete. The kid's a beast. His counterpart goes by the name of Kendall Johnson. Very athletic, long and lean. He's going to get it done. They got a quarterback, Savon Briggs, who is also a sophomore, Iverson Howard, who is a freshman, and Zach Anderson, one of the best interior offensive linemen. Quince Orchard will likely repeat. I want to see Quince Orchard and Oscar Smith play, but that's neither here nor there. Lastly, though, Neo Avery started the year as a quarterback, ended up one of the best weak side defensive ends in the nation. He's going to be big time 5-star. Jason Moore, already a 5-star. DeMatha, he'll get it done. He still has another year. And Nick Harbor, another burgeoning 5-star coming out of that Carroll program. The DMV is wrought with talent out there on the football fields. I just had to get that in.
And it's undeniably one of the best, if not the best, area for football and high school athletics in the country. So it's no surprise that we have so many guys that are making it to these high levels in college and the NFL. It's right here in our hometown.
Yeah, man. The nation is beginning to recognize the talent on the gridiron that we have right here in the DMV.
For sure.
But of course we know that the DMV is traditionally known for its basketball prowess, and that's where you come in. Hoops have tipped off. We got some exciting things going on already. What should we continue to look for?
I think, we're in the thick of the tournament season, the big tournaments. DeMatha had its tournament already. Gonzaga had its DC Classic. And look, in the WCAC, we have 3 teams that are ranked in the top 25 in the country with Gonzaga, DeMatha, and PVI. And you can make the argument that St. John should also be in there, or at least be considered for that top 25, top 30 spot. And I mean, look, you have players who are obviously going to big time schools. You have coaches who are new in different systems in the league. You have players who are maybe not the big time players that others are, but have still made waves and made splashes and are contributing big time to their respective schools. And, I think the WCAC is I don't want to say wide open, but there are teams who, you stack Gonzaga, DeMatha, and PVI at the top, but you have to look at teams like McNamara. You have to look at a team like Good Counsel, who, on paper may not match up with the Stags at DeMatha or the Eagles at Gonzaga, but they have guys, like I said, who can contribute incrementally, bits and pieces here and there to that ultimate team success, and maybe make a run at the end of the year or make a postseason run to the WCAC title come early next year. So it's fun, it's exciting. There's Gonzaga is going to the Les Schwab Invitational this weekend, I believe, and DeMatha is playing some more nationally ranked opponents in the coming days and coming weeks. Obviously, with their new head coach and their coaching change, and Coach Strickland in Hyattsville, a lot has been made of that and how he's going to adapt to the new system, to the players, to the whole DeMatha community. And so far they've shown why they are the premier program in the DMV and Maryland, really, and one of the best in the country. They got off to a bit of a rocky start. I think Gonzaga is still first in the league, and DeMatha is right behind them, if I'm not mistaken, as of this recording. But nonetheless, it's going to be a fun year. It's going to be maybe an unpredictable year, dare I say. But it's a season that I believe that fans have yearned for and have wanted for a while, because we missed out on a lot last year. We missed out on everything last year with COVID. And now that we're back, and now that we have the opportunity to go and see games and actually see teams on full display, it's all that we could ever want.
I'm going to go ahead and tee you up the way that you want to be teed up here, D, whether you ask me about it or not. Gonzaga, first of all, shout out to Coach Turner. I believe that he celebrated that 400th victory the other day, so that's a huge career success. Are you surprised, though, by how well they're coming out of the gates? I mean, you had to hear about it. Juna Mintz is transferring. I heard people saying that this program would be down. They don't look down, D.
They don't look down, and to be honest, I'm not surprised at all. And again,
here we go, Gonzaga homer.
But I'll tell you why I'm not surprised. It seems like this question comes every year, and it comes every year because they might not have the same guys. They might not have a Trevor Keels who's going to Duke, or Jeremy Roach who's at Duke, or guys going to the bigger schools. You have Devin Dinkins who's going to George Mason. Jared Turner going to Northeastern. You have guys who are going to great schools, great basketball schools, but not the Power 5, Power 10 schools that you see in the AP Top 10 every week. So it's all about the system, buying into Coach Turner's system and him having the quote unquote right guys who fit that system, who know how to play team ball, who know how to run what he expects out of a Gonzaga program. And, every program has a down year. Every program has a year that is, maybe not up to par with their standards or what they're accustomed to. But, no, I'm not surprised at all, because you just said it. Coach Turner's at 400 wins. He just reached that milestone. I think he's at 402 or 403 now. And there's a reason for that. He's built a program of success the past, I think, nearly 2 decades on I Street, and that's what's gotten him to this point.
There was a ton of brouhaha. We did a great job, if we must say so ourselves. We did a great job covering the coaching change when Coach Jones moved away and Coach Strickland stepped into that position. Since then, they've played a ton of summer games and ton of workouts and everything else. They're getting it done for real now. It's interesting that we haven't heard anything else about that thus far.
It is interesting. I think they might just they're making an effort to keep everything about basketball and keep everything under wraps, behind closed doors. They know what's going on. They know, they hear everything, the coaches, the players, they hear everything from whether it's parents, whether it's administrators, whether it's casual fans who are fans of DMV hoops and DeMatha basketball, whatever the case may be. I think they're just trying to internalize everything and leave it all out on the floor. And really, I think they might be using it as motivation. We had a summer of controversy when Coach Strickland was hired, when he was brought on to lead this program after Coach Jones did such a fantastic job for all the years he was there. And they're saying, you don't think we can do it with Coach Strickland, or Coach Strickland is saying, you guys don't want me here, you guys being fans or casuals or whoever it may be, let's go play for one another. Let's block out the naysayers. Let's put our differences aside, whatever differences are present, and let's just play DeMatha basketball.
I definitely want to give a shout out as we look at boys basketball in the DMV to Coach Singletary as well out there at Sidwell. A lot of talk, and we're going to get to this in just a second. A lot of talk is about the girls team, and deservedly so, because that's the greatest team I've ever seen. Boys, girls are indifferent. But Coach Singletary's team, they're in Washington Post's top 10 as well. Coach Singletary's squad, they got a ton of student athletes out there. They're going to get it done. Talk to me about the girls, D.
I think it's an amazing time for girls basketball, and in
Absolutely.
particular in the DMV, because you're surrounded by just athletes who are going to the big schools. Obviously, we have St. John's, we have Sidwell, we have Georgetown Visitation, who I love watching and hearing about it. I used to love covering them when I was back down in DC. There are just so many. You look at AZ Fudd, and she, I don't want to say she set the tone, but she kind of put DMV girls basketball on the map in a way.
Took it to the next level, bro. She undoubtedly.
Yeah, she did, and with her bringing such attention and such a spotlight to the girls' game, which obviously historically hasn't gotten the love it's deserved. Um, it's really elevated the profile of DMV hoops as a whole, but specifically the profile of DMV girls basketball. And if you want to go see Gonzaga de Matha one night and the next night you can't say, "Oh, this is an off night. Oh, I don't have anything to do," because St. John's is playing on Military Road, or Visitation's playing, or McNamara girls basketball is playing, or Sidwell's playing. Whoever it is, you're going to be entertained every night, whether it's a boys' game or a girls' game. And those girls, they're really showing why and how they've gotten to this point and what they're really capable of.
You went on that soliloquy there, as you oftentimes do, Darrell, and many would call this, and look, I'm not going to be allowed on Military Road, but many would call this a mistake in which you started your soliloquy with St. John's. Let me say to you again what I just now said. This conversation starts and ends this year and potentially for years to come with the Sidwell Quakers. You got to go. What is that? Wisconsin? Is that the street that Sidwell? You got to go to.
It's somewhere over there.
It's somewhere over there. You got to go to Wisconsin. Shout out Mr. Leventhal, the athletic director out there. Tamika Dudley's Sidwell team. Darrell. I don't even want to start naming names because I'm going to forget someone. But you got to talk about Kaya Miller, a sharpshooting three wing who does not get half of the credit that she deserves. She can fill it up and would be the best player on a lot of people's teams. And then you move over, you start talking about Kendall Dudley, a 6'3" center who has game enough to step outside and make shots. She can get it done, and she's just a sophomore. Then you start talking about Harmon. You start talking about Harmon, a point guard who came down here from New York, who can fill it up, who can shoot the ball from anywhere on the court, as well as run the offense. And then you've got the true definition of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. And I know that has gone sideways as of late, but I want to talk about this like it was in the 90s. Kiki Rice and Jaden Donovan, the combination of those two young ladies is absolutely phenomenal. Kiki, of course, the UCLA commit. She plays point guard. She can play the off guard as well. She can score the ball. She rebounds. She pushes the rock and distributes it as well. She's put muscle onto her frame, so she finishes at the rock through contact. And Jaden Donovan is quite possibly the most underrated student athlete in the nation. Jaden Donovan has size. She plays defense. She's got chase down blocks like no other. She almost dunked on a girl the other night, D. She almost dunked on a girl at Sidwell the other night. This entire Sidwell squad is amazing, and if they're not playing, go check out Murray as well. There is just a ton of talent. This Vizzy squad is going to be good, and then go down to Virginia and watch the Madison girls play too. The DMV is king for high school sports, and I love it, bro.
Sidwell, I mean, it's crazy. They have three of the top players in the country all on one squad, and you can make the argument that a lot of their other players should be on that list. I mean,
yes.
I mean, it's unbelievable what we have here in the DMV.
Yeah, they've got depth, they've got talent, and the best thing about them is that they truly have a love for one another. I've never seen a squad with this many stars play this well together. It's the coaching, it's the coaching, it's the environment, and as Sidwell would say, culture wins. Great job, Coach Dudley. Great job to that entire program.
Culture is always important, and culture, above anything else, really, wins, losses, whatever it is, stands above all. I kind of want to. We talked about the high school boys and we talked about the high school girls, and this kind of brings it all together and it encapsulates everything. Um, we're still dealing with the implications of COVID right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the Omicron variant and how contagious it is, it's from everything I've heard, it's much more milder than a normal case of COVID, but it's more transferable and more contagious than the other variants of it. Um, do you feel that we're in a way shifting back to the early 2020 days when we had shutdowns and when people were kind of in limbo and with long testing lines extending around blocks and corners? Do you feel that we're reverting that way, and what should a lot of these high schools do? I know it depends on the county and the mayors and the governors, states and cities and local governments, but are we going to see fans banned from arenas and gyms? Are we going to see high schools asking fans to wear masks? Are we going to see leagues kind of make adjustments to schedules or to locker rooms or anything that could put a damper on scheduling and games and student athletes? Where do you think
Yeah.
we're going with that?
Yeah. To be honest with you, D, I am afraid.
Mm.
I'm afraid. Look, about a week ago, 10 days ago, I was in a great mood. Like I said, coming off of a dynamic football season, and I was had seen my first few basketball games. Like I was like, bro, like this is amazing. Seen Sidwell. I was looking forward to seeing the Wilson boys, the Coolidge boys, the Rose boys, etc., etc. And now this thing has just blown the F up, bro.
Yeah.
And you look right now over the holiday break. I know that PG County as well as Howard County have shut down athletics over the holiday break. They've also gone virtual until at least mid-January. You look at Montgomery County, they have shut down high school athletics and gone virtual until mid-January. DC still holding out right now and still playing, but that may just be a matter of time as well. Virginia is going to play on. Look, this is our podcast, so we can say whatever the hell we want to. That I don't think that's I don't think that VA's holding out and keep playing. I don't think that that's hurt by the fact that they just elected a Republican governor. I think that they will continue to play as long as they can. But this is scary, man, because I know how much playing the game means to me personally as a journalist, but even more so I know what it means to these student athletes, and I know the opportunities that are taken away when they're not able to play, and I know the despair that they go through when they aren't able to do it. Look, bro, for some of our kids, more than just earning a scholarship, playing these sports, it's their outlet. It's all that they have to be able to deal with the world, and their teammates and their coaching families are all that they have to be able to help them get through everything else that they're going through at home. And you don't have to come from an impoverished setting for that to be the case. There's a lot of well-off people who also need their team families and everything as well. So the idea of it being shut down is scary to me. To answer your question, for any, council member that's listening to me, keep the fans out first. Keep the fans out first. Number one, have the student athletes wear masks. You ask a hooper whether they would rather play ball in a mask or not play ball at all, they'll put the mask on 10 times out of 10. Put a mask on them, keep the testing up, and then treat this on a case-by-case scenario the same way that they're doing in the pros. If a team has a breakout, shut down that team. Don't shut down the whole damn thing. Don't shut down the whole damn thing. We take too much away from our kids. We take too much away from our communities. And last point, D, and I'd actually like your retort on this. And I don't even know, and somebody will be mad at me for this, I don't even know whether it's right, and I don't like that phrase, but I don't know if it's right to shut down everything when a lot of these counties have forced mandates of vaccination. Like I don't think that you can mandate being vaccinated and then shut things down when the virus is persisting. Like, that's, to me, that rings hollow, if you ask me.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is, the basic word is counterintuitive, but it's like, we've done everything we can do in terms of the vaccine mandates and protecting ourselves to get to this point, only to shut everything down again. I don't think we can afford to do that, literally and figuratively. And I think we're so connected in the youth culture and with student athletes and with coaches, and knowing the how much these games impact the young men and women who play the sport. I don't want to just single out high school, but college and pros, but the people that we cover specifically, and how much it impacted people mentally last year who couldn't get out and play their sport. How much they look forward to this year to come back and be able to play and to be able to have that outlet that you just alluded to, and to have that stripped away potentially, hopefully not, but potentially again, twice in as many years. It's detrimental physically, it's detrimental mentally. It could lead to an increase in violence, like we talked about earlier this year. It could lead to mental health issues and further problems along those lines. And I know we talked about, if a hooper, if they had the decision whether to wear a mask while playing or shutting the whole sport down, they're going to choose the mask. Yeah. Probably 99.9% of the time. There may be some blowback from a couple here and there. I just read this. This is breaking news from about an hour ago from Mayor Bowser. She just had a press conference. Mayor Bowser is of course, the mayor of Washington, D.C. And on January 15th of 2022, so in a matter of weeks, establishments will be required to check to make sure all people ages 12 and up have one dose of the vaccine. So you must be fully vaccinated by February 15th of 2022. It applies to restaurants, bars, nightclubs, indoor entertainment facilities, gyms, and indoor meeting establishments. All students will need to be vaccinated by that date. Adding COVID-19 vaccines are already required. So this affects a lot of people.
That's students, not because student athletes. That's already, but students in general are gonna. Wow.
In DC. So that's a lot. I'm focusing on gyms, indoor meeting establishments, and indoor entertainment facilities. So whether you think about Capital One Arena, you think about the gym at St. John's, the gym at Gonzaga, the gym at Murray, the gym at Sidwell. To what level will this apply? Students are going to have to be vaccinated, but it seems like you just can't be a parent or a fan coming in. If your daughter plays basketball at Murray, if your daughter plays basketball at, I don't know, Sidwell, and you live in Virginia, you're unvaccinated, you want to come and watch your daughter at Sidwell, it seems like you have to be vaccinated now as of that January, February deadline. And so, and this applies, as you said, not just to student athletes, but to students in DC in general. So,
listen, there are going to be a lot of people who, of course, scream to the high heavens at things like this, but the reality is, D, and again, I'm a new parent, so I don't have all of the information on this, but there are vaccination requirements for young kids to go into school, and there always have been, for other things that before COVID became a part of our lives, kids had to be vaccinated before they went into school settings. And so now with COVID being so prevalent, it's just another step in the pathway, bro. Like, it is on a personal note, when a person is not vaccinated, that's their choice. that doesn't actually have anything to do with me or my loved ones, if that's the choice that they make. But when it comes to going to public settings in which everyone is affected by your status, at that point, it does matter to me. So I'm in favor of these things. If you're going to be in large public settings, be vaccinated and wear a mask.
And I think at first I agree with, whether a person is vaccinated or unvaccinated. I think a lot of us have become so entwined into that whole debacle that it's become political, that it's become judgmental and stereotypical, sure. And I think it's unfortunate where it's gone. But here in New York, to get into Madison Square Garden, you have to be vaccinated. They check that. To get into a restaurant, you have to be vaccinated. I'm not sure how it is for like Capital One Arena down there, or if you want to see the Wizards or the Capitals or something, if you have to be vaccinated there. But in the coming weeks, that's going to be the reality. And I think, like you said, whether we love it or hate it, that's the reality where we're moving towards, and that we're finding ourselves in right now, really.
Yeah, and again, outside of our professional settings, in this setting, we can state our opinions as loud and proud as we want to, and those are our opinions. I want to go ahead and shift gears from right where we are, but take it to the professional level, because of course this same conversation is going on in the NBA as well as the NFL right now. I believe that 3 NFL games needed to be shifted to allow for there to be enough players essentially to play the game. In the NBA, we got teams with 8, 9, 10 guys that are in COVID protocol. Are these seasons in trouble? What about your Washington football team? You had a guy off the streets playing quarterback last night. How much trouble are the pro leagues in? What should they do?
I think they're in a bit of trouble, but I think it's clear that they have a blueprint as to what they want to do if it has gotten to that desperation point. The NBA has made it clear that they're not going to stop the season. The NFL has made it clear that they're not going to stop the season. And if it's gotten to the point where Washington got, where Seattle got, where Cleveland got, they're just going to do their best to shift games, move them back a little bit. They've adjusted the testing rules. If you're, I believe, asymptomatic and can produce 2 negative tests within 24 or 48 hours, you can play. And that's been a subject of controversy. That's why Taylor Heineke couldn't play for Washington on Tuesday night. That's why we had to get Garrett Gilbert, I think his name is, who stepped in and did a solid job. I think that's why he was forced to play. And it's going. I think it's a financial thing, obviously, but it's also, again, you can't afford to do what we did last year with not having fans, with not really being able to play many of your games. It's reached the college level, with forfeits, and St. John's and Seton Hall basketball, that was forfeited by Seton Hall the other day, so it was an automatic win for St. John's. People hate that rule, but it's like, that's where we're at right now. So if it's affecting the college level, it's going to affect the professional level, or vice versa.
My Howard girls game was canceled on yesterday as well, due to COVID. Last year, Coach Kenny Blakeney's the whole damn Howard men's basketball season after 5 games was called. So I'm certain that they'll be sure to be more careful. But when we talk about the NBA and the NFL, I mean, I think this is far more cut and dry, and it's because of what it is that you said, D. That is money. Yeah. There is a ton of money involved. And for all the skeptics out there that want to say, oh yeah, the NFL, the NBA, the owners are greedy. You know what? The players want their money as well. Yeah. And the players can't get their money if the league is not making money. And these are individuals, athletes that make tens of millions of dollars. And trust me, they don't want to give a check back or not receive a check either. So I agree with you. Whatever this takes, change the testing around, this, that, or the other. I know that Adam Silver was talking about continuing to encourage not only the vaccination, because they're at 97%, which I believe is a lot higher than the NFL, I believe. But not only the vaccination, but they want the booster levels to be up near that 97% as well. And do you think that moving forward, because here's the big question, not to tie this all together, not just at the professional level, but do you foresee COVID's not going anywhere? So
No.
do you foresee a situation where later on that whole asymptomatic thing, that becomes more of a guideline for when we're sitting players, sitting student athletes, keeping students in or out of school? Do you think that asymptomatic thing is going to come more into play? I know you're not a scientist or a doctor, but what do you think?
I think so. I think it's because it begs the question: if you have COVID and you're sick as a dog, like I was in May when I had it. You can't do anything. You can't play. You can't function. You can't talk. You have to rest. But I think if we're using the level of asymptomatic as kind of a baseline, you're sick. Okay, how do you feel? I feel fine. I feel normal, but I'm testing positive. I think first you have to eliminate the possibility of a false positive or false negative. Well, I'm sure I'm mixing up the term. But if I think guys are playing sick now, I honestly do. I think guys are playing, they test negative on Saturday. They maybe contract COVID Saturday night. They're playing with it on Sunday. They're regularly tested for the next test on Tuesday, comes out positive, but they don't have any symptoms, and they're spreading it possibly the guys that way. So I do think the asymptomatic factor is going to play a big role in how we go about, maybe the whole team doesn't have to isolate or quarantine. Maybe if that player is asymptomatic, just let the rest of the team play. If that player is actively sick and has symptoms, maybe we forfeit that game or postpone it to a later date if there's a greater chance of other guys getting infected or getting sick. So I think it'll play a huge role.
Yeah, I am a proponent of vaccinations plus boosters. Does it stop COVID? It does not, but to our understanding, it makes it more challenging and it makes it safer for individuals, especially those at high risk. My mother is in her 70s, D. I know your mother is not that experienced, but you got a mother as well, a father as well. So we want to keep everybody safe while still having the lives that we want to lead.
And quick note, I just read that the University of Michigan football team is going as a team to get boosters.
Yeah,
so I think, I don't know if that was Coach Harbaugh's decision or the athletic department's choice, but
I think it was Blake Corum. Blake Corum, right here in the DMV, he made that decision. He's just a sophomore.
Shout out to Blake.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. What do we have next? I think we're. I mean, we talked about everything that was on the docket. We have everything panned out. So we're 9 days away from 2022 somehow, some way. This year it's absolutely flown by. What can we expect from us, from Dmv Sports in 2022?
You know what, bro? From Dmv Sports, my hope, my Christmas wish, if I could sit on Santa's lap today, would be that come January the 15th, if not before, that we're still playing. I think that once we get obviously to those spring and summer sports and then back around the fall, that everything is going to be great. But I really want for these student athletes, the winter sports student athletes, to have a chance to play. They did not play at all last year. I want for them to have a chance to play. That's my hope for them. On a personal note, bro, I think that 2022, everybody says this year is my year. Well, to anyone listening, the only way to make this year your year is to make this day your year, your day, and then to make this week, and then to make this month your month, bro. My desires, D, are to continue moving forward, making good decisions with my career, with our collective Ricardo Report crews moving forward. I know that we want to get into some media training for all
Oh, yeah.
student athletes. Student athletes, there's money to be made, but in order to make this NIL money, bro, you actually got to be a pitch man. Let Darrell and I help you become a pitch man so you can make this money with NIL. That's big, D. I hope to be able to convince my wife, if she can hear me, to have another child. We'll see about that. And then I may even move back to Virginia as well. We'll see. Be closer to my mama. What about you?
Well, is Kobe? Does he want to be a big brother? Is he ready for that?
Right now, Kobe just wants to sing E-I-E-I-O. Like, that's it. Anything that includes Old MacDonald, but we'll tell him Old MacDonald had a farm, and on that farm was a baby brother. And if he can sing that, then he'll be happy about it.
I love it. I love it. Hopefully he gets to say that. Hopefully your wife agrees with that too.
Hopefully. My wife, yes.
Hopefully. So in 2022, I'll start with the athletic standpoint. Same for you. I hope we're playing. I hope we're not shut down the way we were earlier this year and all of last year pretty much. I hope that we continue to have conversations that are not one-sided, but rather bring everybody into the fold and get these ideas to say, if we shut down sports, we're also going to see an increase in violence, an increase in mental health problems, an increase in depression and anxiety and things that were driven by the lack of sports last year. And I hope that people realize that. I hope people continue to speak up and use their platforms to amplify those problems or amplify solutions to those problems. And I hope that if sports are still going on and still being played at this point or in a couple months, that we just see guys and girls having fun, that they realize to not take anything for granted, to continue to strive for greatness on and off their respective playing surfaces, and just to be thankful for another day to play the sport they love, to go to school, to be surrounded by family and friends. And so that's my hope for next year. And I hope that it sets the tone for years to come. As you said, you have to make this day your best year. So everything, it starts today. How you act, how you practice, how you train, how you treat others, whatever it is, it all molds into one, and it carries over to the next day, and that next day to the next day. It turns into a week and a month and a year. So I hope that's where we're going, where we're progressing towards come 2022. Personally, I am excited for my wedding in July. I'm excited to marry my beautiful fiance Maggie, who have you met her in person yet?
I think so. I don't know.
Remember.
Don't tell her that we're questioning this, D. I feel strongly that I've met Maggie in person. I feel, guys, listen. There was one time that Darrell had me drive down to DC. I live like an hour away. He had me drive down to DC. I was supposed to be meeting up with he and Maggie, and they never showed up. So, but I think that I met her another time, though.
It wasn't an hour away. You were about 57 minutes away, so I saved you 3 minutes. So I am very excited for my wedding. I'm very excited to begin a new position at a new. It's not a career change, but it's a step up. It's a new position.
Moving on up.
Moving to the east
side.
To a deluxe office in the sky, because I will be on the 15th floor.
That's excellent.
So I'm starting that soon, and just to be
Wait,
around.
You didn't tell them. You just said what are you doing, Darrell?
Well, all right. So breaking news. This is the first exclusive. For those who don't know, my current position is at CBS News. I work for the show CBS Mornings, where I produce stories for Gayle King, Tony DeCovo, and Nate Burleson for our daily morning show. I've been there for just over 2 years. October of 2019 was when I started. So I've been doing that, but I did just accept a position at CBS Sports Network as an associate news producer. Thank you. Where I'll be covering the NFL and college football and college basketball. So I'm starting that in a couple days, and I'm very excited to get back into sports. And I'm going to miss my still current position. I've been there for 2 years, and for them to trust me enough to handle breaking news pieces at 7 a.m. working overnights as I started as a 22, 23-year-old was an honor and a blessing. But I'm truly fortunate and blessed to be in this new position to start professionally with what I love, and that's sports, obviously, with what we do. And look for my name on the NFL on CBS, the NFL Today on Sundays. So
that is what's up, and certainly congratulations and shout out to Darrell Balknight taking his brand to the next level. I too will be moving into the collegiate ranks in some regard. I've already started working with Howard University. The plan is, indeed, they got to give me the bag, bro. But the plan is to become the official voice of Howard University sports, all total. So that's in the works. The deal is not inked yet, but really look forward to that. Really look forward to working in the HBCU realm, bringing more attention to those deserving student athletes, and also just at the historic, truly historic campus of Howard University. So a lot of big things for both of us, but as much as we're moving up, D.
Oh yeah.
We still love high school sports, and we'll be here for the kids.
Oh yeah, we'll be here. We want to continue to use this platform, continue to hear from the high school student athletes and coaches and administrators, and get this media training started for all the people in our area.
That's what I'm saying, bro. To all of the high school student athletes out there, there are no one better to come learn and better your media prowess than with two black men who have done it and want to help you do the same. That's me and my main man, Darrell.
For sure. Let's do it.
All right. So to you, thank you all for coming in and checking out, listening, watching Darrell Balknight and I. D, to you, happy holidays, bro.
Same to you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I guess I'll see you in 2022.
See you in 2022. And we'll see you all as well. This, of course, has been First and Told.
Ricardo Report, bruh!